where they've been in it for literally 100 years, the Disney company.
Yeah.
And they've done everything, every story you could possibly imagine. What are you going to do next? Like, what's going to be your new coup d'etat?
Yeah.
To bring you onto the next level. And you know what it is that they're doing all these live streams now, or live adaptations.
Right.
They're doing live adaptations of different movies. Now, they're going to do that to death.
Yes.
They truly are. They're going to do it to death.
Have.
And they already have. I mean, they've already come
They're
out.
going to do animated versions of the live action
Yeah.
movies.
And it's really, really sad. I think that once they come to a point, like they've plateaued in their thing, and now they've acquired Star Wars. They're going to acquire Fox.
Right.
They have Marvel. They have like all of these huge massive companies, massive movie makers.
Yeah.
And what is your next? You know, where are you going next? What are you going to do that you can't surpass since you're already at the pinnacle of things? You just plateaued.
Yep.
And now you got to put things on the back burner because if you put out too much, you're losing money.
Oh, yeah. I want to read before you comment. Or do you want to read Eddie's?
Okay,
I want to read the one that really wanted this one. So Edward Baumeister, who has been on the show before, and we'll have him on the show again, commented this.
He commented this, and I think it's worth noting. No one is stifling creativity except the audience. There have actually been quite a few more original movies than people realize. The problem is that nobody talks about them or wants to give them a chance, and so nobody pays to see them.
Mm.
The studios are looking at this and providing more and remakes.
And I think he's 100% accurate.
That's true.
Yes,
Um,
he is. It is only a matter of time until like the next Star Wars comes out. In terms of someone has this idea for a franchise, completely original, takes it off and runs with it, and it becomes a big hit. But the problem is people don't pay to see these original movies. People are paying to see the sequels to these movies. People are lining up to go see the MCU movies. People are lining up to go see Star Wars Episode 9 already.
I hope they're not lining up already. That's not for another, almost year.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
They're going to get real cold, and then real hot, and then cold again.
And they'll do that very confidently.
Their clothes are going to fall off them like dead leaves.
But people don't realize that consumers drive the market, and that's not just with movies, that's with everything. Food, everything. Consumers drive the market. What we spend our money on dictates what a producer like Disney is going to put out.
Yeah.
And if you're not spending money on it, they're not going to put it out. It's like the Lone Ranger. When Disney tried to launch the Lone Ranger franchise a few years ago, no one saw it. There's no more Lone Ranger movies.
I saw it 4 years later.
And it was by accident.
No, I wanted to watch it.
It wasn't that good of a movie.
Wasn't.
Quite frankly, it didn't fit Disney's tone either with how dark it was.
Yeah.
But movies like that, completely flatlined, and they're not working on it because consumers didn't pay to go see it. Look at Solo, a Star Wars movie,
Which was a good movie.
It was a solid movie, really good.
I actually just watched that the other day.
on Netflix.
On Netflix.
It's
Yeah.
a really good movie, but no one paid to see it, so Disney's not going to make it. Consumers control the market, and if consumers not paying for it, Disney or whoever is not going to give it. I don't think it's necessarily a Disney problem. It's people. Okay, some of it is a shortage of money. For example, I will only see Marvel movies this year because I don't have money to go to the movies every week to go see movies.
Right.
And these are the ones I'm anticipating.
Well, we're going to go see Star Wars, too.
Right.
Which isn't technically Marvel. You liar!
What if they crossed over? Disney could do that. That'd be so
They
cool.
No
Totally.
crossing the blades.
But that's something I don't know if people realize, especially in our capitalist society. And the consumer drives the market with everything.
Yeah.
If you want more original content, like Edward said, we do have original content that comes out. Problem is, it doesn't get attention. Problem is, people don't pay to go see it.
Now, let me raise this concern that we could talk about. I don't want to give the commenter his due. I won't read the actual comment, but his
Let me interject for 1 second.
Yeah.
There are two movies that I'm particularly looking for that are going to do great this year, and one of them is going to be Brightburn. I think it's going to do
which
well.
I will not go see.
I'm actually going to watch it. I don't care if it's by James Gunn.
That is literally the reason I will not go see it.
Well,
I am
It is what it
boycotting James Gunn, which won't make a difference. My $10 really isn't going to make a difference, but I don't care.
Yeah.
What's going to make a difference is I think it comes out really close to Endgame.
Also, I think
Yeah.
it's going to be a bad movie. But either way, please
and
continue.
also there's a Netflix series called Raising Dion, which is about a little kid who's raised by a single mom and has superpowers, and she tries to stifle him and try to keep him indoors.
That always works out.
It's going to be a really great movie if you guys want to check it out. It doesn't quite have a release date, but it is releasable for this year.
Yeah.
But no release date to TBH for right now.
Now, his name is Jacob Ferrito, Ferrito, who commented on the poll, and his basic premise was, I don't feel that they're necessarily stifling creativity might not be the right way to put it, but he said this. However, are they being too controlling and demanding with their properties? Yes. I look at you look at Age of Ultron, which we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Josh Whedon is not able to make the movie he wants to make. When they get Fox, not if, when they get Fox, right? You're gonna have Deadpool.
Yep.
You're never gonna see a real Deadpool movie again because they're not gonna make an R-rated movie.
Yep.
Because Disney has said you're not making an R-rated movie. You look at Star Wars and stuff like that. With all of these things, okay, so maybe they're allowing all of these different content creators, directors, producers, and stuff to make movies, but Disney has set very strict guidelines on
very
things.
strict.
And is that stifling? Now,
Disney
I'm not saying Deadpool should have a third movie or not. I personally am not a huge fan of either Deadpool movie, not because they're bad movies, but because I just don't enjoy
That's
Deadpool.
why-
And so, like they made Deadpool correctly. I'm just not a huge fan of his.
Yeah.
But I also don't think you'll end up seeing like a Blade movie because they look at Blade and go, "That's way too dark for what we're trying to do." Or a Moon
If
Knight.
anything, he had a chance on Netflix.
That's
Netflix
the only
did.
chance he had. And so, do you think that Disney is stifling it that way?
Well,
Both
had-
of you, of course.
Like even with the Ant-Man movie, you had Edgar Wright leaving the project because Disney had requirements that a director wasn't willing to give up creativity over.
Sure.
And they just say, fine, we'll find this no-name guy. Yeah, we'll let him direct the movie, and we'll get what we want.
Right.
It's a fine line because, like Phil mentioned, they do have one guy over at Kevin Feige, which I think is a good thing because he has a vision for this whole universe,
Right.
and he has writers and whatever underneath him. I do think Marvel has done a good job, especially in the past wave of movies. I forget who mentioned it. It might have been Dante on the comments about allowing the directors to express their own creativity. Like you have James Gunn expressing it in Guardians of the Galaxy. You have the Russos doing their genre with Infinity War. Even though Marvel's still getting what they want, the Russos were able to direct it the way they saw it.
Right.
I think that helps a lot. It helps when the studio and the directors trust each other enough that they're not going to get in each other's way with preventing this.
Right.
And I'm sure that's very hard to find.
Yeah. I mean, you even see it with their first set of movies. You don't have necessarily these huge name directors directing those movies. They're not nobodies, but they're not these big name directors because I think they did that on purpose because they went, we are setting the parameters. And you can't have somebody with a huge ego, you can't have Christopher Nolan directing an MCU movie because he wants full control.
And
You've even had people like James Cameron and Steven Spielberg come out and say, "Oh, well, Marvel's taking over the universe, but it's a fad." Yes, it's a fad, but it's a 10-year fad that they've made a multiverse already and have absolutely dominated the movie industry.
And I'm saying this now, they probably already are. They've become the Disney animated classic in the sense that if Disney releases a movie, you go see it.
Yep.
It doesn't matter if it's poop on a screen.
Yeah.
You go see it because Disney
see it.
put it out. And quite frankly, Marvel has become that with this 10-year success. No matter what the movie is, people will pay to see it. And they can go on forever with that. I think it's past the point where it's a fad. I think it's become a staple franchise that says whatever they put out, it's worth seeing.
The superhero movie as a whole is not a fad. It is what the Westerns were in the early. It is what the action movie was in the 90s and stuff like that. It is the current crop of movie that people will go see.
Right.
Like, you didn't miss a Western. And you didn't miss a 90s action film. It's literally a genre, the 90s action movie. And you're with that now with the superhero movies. And we've talked about when do we think that ends and stuff like that. But I agree, it's not a fad. It is.
And, at least with Marvel, I don't think it is.
True.
DC, they've had the problem is when you have mediocrity and you have so many bad movies, people don't want to go see them, and that's when you lose your momentum. And Marvel has had some bad movies like in the past, but like they had. What is it, like 6 or 7 like straight movies that have been
that were bomb. They were great.
Like even like the Wasp. I don't have an interest to really see it again, but it was a solid movie and an entertaining movie.
Yeah,
and made money.
Yeah.
They put out a product that people want, and I think it could keep going. And
I agree.
Look at even like Star Wars. Like Star Wars is going down a little bit.
Well, to be honest, I think Star Wars is actually going on a back burner. And not to say that it's sad, because it's been such a huge staple in everybody's life that Star Wars has made itself an empire.
Oh yeah.
And to go on the back burner because Marvel movies are the fad, they're the newest thing in there, and nobody wants to watch Star Wars movies. Like, make a good Star Wars movie,
which a lot of people honestly think they have.
And
just putting that out there.
Some of them are good. They're not great. They're not amazing. They don't
but let's be honest. If you go watch the original 6 movies, only one of them is above average. And honestly, if you even watch The Empire Strikes Back, it's not as good as you remember it because of your nostalgia. It's a good movie, but it is not anything that blows you out of the water.
That's like saying there was one particular Rocky movie, like Rocky 1
was good.
Was a good
movie. The rest
movie.
of them, and I haven't. Creed is apparently very good.
Creed,
Rocky has a special place in my heart because for a long time as a Philadelphia
you don't get to talk about it because you were a Dallas.
No, but I'm saying like the big epitome of Rocky was like him versus Drago.
Yeah,
that was the greatest.
Rocky 5 was it. Rocky 6 touched my heart in some way.
But they were mediocre movies. Like they weren't that great. They reached the plateau.
I think what made a franchise like Rocky so lovable was just such a relating character. We talk about that with DC, how they lacked a relating character. Like
he's Philadelphia. They're crazy.
He's a Dallas fan.
It's this Notre guy who gets the chance of a lifetime.
How are you a Dallas fan when you're from Philly?
How is the fact that the greatest athlete in Philadelphia history is freaking fictional? That's the problem.
How is the best athlete in Philadelphia Gritty?
This is true. Today in my thesis, I will defend them.
Gritty versus Rocky. Make it happen.
But we're going back to this whole thing, and I do think that Star Wars, this trilogy that they're making, has greatly not benefited. What's the opposite of benefited?
Damaged.
Been damaged by the directors and producers, because it felt like the first movie had a clear vision of where it was going. The second movie said, that's a nice vision, I'm taking it somewhere else.
And that's the trouble when you have multiple directors. Is that this director has a different vision for this trilogy.
Which is why it's so good that Feige has done a good job of keeping Marvel, even though it's so many different directors and movies going in one direction.
I really don't think we give the Marvel Universe enough credit, and that's hard to say because we talk about it a lot. But with what they did, because this is really
hard never happened before.
This is really hard to do with such an extended period of time. We've never seen a franchise like this that they have a creative vision.
10 years.
They have
10 years of domination.
And you have this overarching vision, but you have all these different directors. Some have directed sequels, but a lot of them are different directors who, for the most part, all stayed on track.
Yeah.
That's really hard. Like we saw with J.J. Abrams' Force Awakens. He had one vision, and it looked like Last Jedi undid some of what he wanted to do.
Had a different vision.
And I don't know if that's a studio thing or a Rian Johnson thing. All I know is Rian Johnson's trilogy got canceled, which thank goodness for that. I'm not against another Star Wars trilogy, but you need
I'm against it unless it's Obi-Wan. I desperately wanted an Obi-Wan trilogy, anthology movies. But, we've talked DC, which was the first time in a while. We talked Marvel. Yeah. And be sure to go vote on those polls. And tomorrow's poll will be about DC and their new way that they're going with their movies.
Do you think good, bad, ugly?
Yeah, make sure to vote, comment, give us your thoughts. Thank you to Phil Beiber for coming on the show. One last thing. Next week is our 50th episode. 50 episodes next week. And we will be, first off, we'll be breaking down season 2 of Punisher. That will be the actual podcast.
Yeah.
But come back after. Watch the Facebook live feed because we are going to do a blind. Madison Button, who's been here before, she's going to help us out with this. A blind. We will literally have not face masks, blindfolds.
Blindfolds
made by my grandma. She's the best.